Hi, I'm Emily Rouserman. My day job is a pastor, meaning that it's my job to tell people things about life. So, here you go. Here's a few things about life. Most things in life aren't certain, but these few things are. 1, guns are cool. 2, cool things are very rarely cheap. 3, Jesus is king. All right, now, getting to the topic of today's video, I want to talk about some guns that are cheap. And what I mean by this is guns that you get a lot of fun for a little bit of money. Now, I know guns are used for many things, good things, bad things, everything in between. But one thing that I think the gun community tends to skip over is straight up fun factor. Some guns, and sometimes it's okay to buy a gun just because it is cool. Not every gun needs to be the top tactical new item. Sometimes it's fun to buy a gun just because it is fun to use. So I want to talk about some of the coolest guns for the money. Now, the first coolest gun is your staple gun. The first coolest gun that you can get for the money is any kind of basic 22. Now, 22s come in so many different shapes and sizes. Some of them aren't cheap, but that wouldn't match the the form of today's video. But I got this 22 and this 22, both of them. This one was $125. This one, after rebate's gonna be about $90. So this is just a Marlin Model 60. I got it at my local gun store. You've probably seen these before. Your grandpa probably has one. I'm gonna slide the tube open, and then you just load rounds in right here. It's super easy to use, super fun to shoot. And if you are looking for the most fun gun that you can get for your money, or the cheapest gun that you can get that is fun, go to your local gun store and see if they have an old 22. Sorry about that. I was using my phone as my camera, and it's pretty cold out here, so it froze. So I've switched to a different camera, but I think we'll still be able to film the video, and I will see how it sounds. Okay. Now, I filled up my Marlin Model 60. It's a really cheap gun, it's a really easy gun, and let me take some shots with it. So, the first thing you can do if you want a really cheap gun, go to your gun store, see if they have an old 22. Now, would I want to defend my house with this? Probably not. Would I rather have it over nothing? Yes, but 22s can be really cheap, and you can get something really cool for not that much money. This is another good example. This is just a Heritage Rough Rider, and these things are cheap as mud. They are so easy to come across. They're like $100, and you can get them on sale for even less. I got this one for about $90 after rebate, and the same day, it was Black Friday, as I was looking around, they had one that after rebate would have been, I think, $80. These things can be very, very cheap. I'm sure if you can find one used, it's even cheaper. They're a little bit silly. They have some weird safeties, but there are many other cheap 22s that you can find. I have a Savage, I think it's called a Savage 94 or a Savage 64. It was actually my first gun that my dad gave me, and I really like that gun. It's really cool. So this is just a single action pistol. It's kind of like a single action army, but in 22 long rifle. All right, that should be 6. Then you open it up, put it in half cock, and eject your spent shells. I really like this handgun. It's almost brand new. I've only put a few cylinders through it. Now, the other nice thing about 22s is that the ammo is cheap. This brick of Aguila 22 Super Extra was, I think, $15 for 250 rounds. But I've seen them for that price, even if this one wasn't. Okay, let's try one more thing that I haven't done with this gun before. I want to try and fan the hammer. It's high dust. this is the kind of fun you can have with a gun like this. Ammo's really cheap, so burning rounds, mag dumping into trash isn't really an issue, and that's kind of what I'm doing today. That's why I'm not showing you my targets. They're just some trash I found on the range that I'm gonna pick up and take with me before I leave. Another really cheap 22 I'd like to show you is this thing. Now you might be wondering what this is. It makes it so you can take any AR-15 that is chambered in 223 or 5.56, pull out the bolt, you replace the bolt with this conversion kit, and now this gun can take 22 long rifle magazines. Now, if you don't already have an AR, this isn't necessarily cheap. However, this conversion kit with 3 magazines is about $160. So if you already have an AR-15 and you want cheap practice, or you just want a new gun, it is a really fun way to get yourself a new rifle. The funny thing is, I've actually found this to be more reliable than a lot of other 22 rifles. You'll notice it sends the rounds flying. I'm gonna try it lefty. Now the cool thing about this little gadget is that it's basically a Marlin Model 60, but feeding from an AR magazine. It's actually really similar mechanically. So far, I've found this to be fairly reliable, and I've been checking my gun, it hasn't caused any damage or anything like that. But you can see that little conversion kit is about $160 or $180. It fluctuates a little bit, and it makes it so that you can fire 22 out of your AR-15. So if you already have an AR-15, that is a great way to save some money if you don't already have a 22. Okay, now there is another gun that I want to show you that is a cheapest gun for the money kind of situation. And one of the things that has to do with is ammo. And that is 12 gauge or 20 gauge shotguns. This one in particular, so shotguns don't necessarily have a super high pressure in the chamber in general in some ways. And especially with birdshot, shotguns can be made relatively inexpensively. I would recommend staying away from some cheap Turkish shotguns because other channels have found them to be unreliable. Shotguns are not a lot of money compared to their cost. This Mossberg 500 has a broken pump, as you can see right there. It doesn't hinder performance or use at all. So I've gotten this shotgun for $100. I've put a lot of rounds through it. I haven't had any issues so far. Shotguns are a lot of fun and not very expensive. One of the most fun things you can do with a shotgun is shoot clay pigeons with it. So you buy a shotgun.
Buy a shotgun.
For, you can buy single shot shotguns for around $100.
Get a double barrel shotgun.
Even now in different places. So let's say though you spend $200 on your shotgun.
Fired 2 blasts.
Then you get some clay pigeons. A box of 90 clay pigeons is, I think, 15 to 20 bucks. So you get your clay pigeons, and then you get some really cheap shells. Cheap shells are about $10 for 25 right now. They used to be 5 for 25. But with the world going crazy like it has, everything has gotten more expensive. So you spend $30 on shells, $15, $20 on clays, and then $200 on a shotgun. You don't really even need that good of a one. And then you can have fun for a whole day. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, not a whole day. You can have a lot of fun. I really like shotguns quite a bit. Now with shotguns, I would recommend staying with 20 or 12 gauge. And one of the big reasons for that is just because they're the most common, so you can get ammo for the cheapest. 12 is the most common, so you can get ammo for the cheapest with a 12 gauge, and then 20 is a pretty close second. .22s, shotguns, and, well, some other guns too can be very, very cheap, comparatively speaking, compared to other things. While they may have, in some cases, less practical uses, they can still be very practical guns to own, and they're cheap and fun. Now, I am 8mm Mauser Man, and I spent $10 maybe making this video, but I lived on.
Which proves it's hard to get the best of a man named John.
John.